Have you ever felt a strange sensation when holding a medal of Saint Benedict, as if something powerful was awakening in your hands? Have you noticed how some people seem to carry an invisible protection around them, while others, despite having faith, constantly struggle against unexplained difficulties? Today, I will reveal to you one of the most guarded secrets that Father Pio shared only with his closest spiritual children, a secret about the Medal of Saint Benedict that could completely change your spiritual destiny. What I'm about to share with you is not mere superstition or empty tradition. These are revelations that Father Pio, the stigmatized saint who could see beyond the veil of this world, transmitted to those who were ready to receive such profound wisdom. If you have a Medal of Saint Benedict at home, if you wear one, or if you are thinking of getting one, you need to listen to this message with your entire soul. Before we continue with this life-changing revelation, if you believe in the power of Father Pio's teachings and the protection of Saint Benedict, write in the comments, "I believe in divine protection." This simple act of faith will be the first step toward the spiritual transformation you have been seeking. Father Pio was not an ordinary saint. His hands, feet, and side bled with the same wounds of Christ for over 50 years. His eyes could penetrate the secrets of souls, and his heart was so united with heaven that he could be in two places at the same time. But among all his extraordinary gifts, there was one teaching that he guarded jealously, sharing it only with those he considered ready to receive such powerful knowledge, the true secret of the Medal of Saint Benedict. You see, most people think they understand what the Medal of Saint Benedict is. They see it as a simple religious object, a piece of metal with sacred symbols. But Father Pio revealed something that will shake the very foundations of your spiritual understanding. This medal is not just a symbol, it is a spiritual weapon of such magnitude that when used correctly, it can alter the course of your entire existence. But here comes the warning that Father Pio repeated with tears in his eyes. The Medal of Saint Benedict is like a sword. In the hands of one who knows how to use it, it becomes an instrument of victory. In the hands of one who ignores its power, it can become inactive. And worse still, its misuse can block the very blessings it was meant to attract. Let me tell you something that will make you reflect deeply. Father Pio once said to one of his spiritual daughters, "I see souls carrying the Medal of Saint Benedict, like prisoners carrying keys to their own cells, not knowing how to use them to free themselves." These words, spoken with the authority of a saint who could see the spiritual realm as clearly as we see the physical world, should make us pause and examine our own relationship with this sacred medal. Do you know where your Medal of Saint Benedict is right now? Can you remember the last time you looked at it with true reverence, or has it become just another object lost among your belongings, forgotten in a drawer, or hanging around your neck more out of habit than conscious devotion? The truth that Father Pio revealed is both simple and profound. The Medal of Saint Benedict is alive with spiritual energy, but this energy can only be activated through specific knowledge and practices that very few people possess. This medal carries within it the power of one of the greatest spiritual warriors in the history of Christianity, Saint Benedict of Nursia, the patriarch of Western monasticism, the man who fought demons face to face and emerged victorious. Saint Benedict lived in the 6th century, in an era when darkness seemed to dominate the world. Barbarian invasions devastated Europe, corruption infected the church, and people lived in constant fear. It was in this context of spiritual warfare that Benedict received divine revelations about combating evil and protecting souls. The medal that bears his name is not a memorial. It is a condensation of his spiritual victories, a portable fortress against the forces of darkness. But what does this have to do with Father Pio? Everything. You see, Father Pio had a special connection with Saint Benedict. During his mystical experiences, Father Pio often spoke of encounters with ancient saints who came to teach him secrets of spiritual warfare. Among them, Saint Benedict occupied a place of honor. It was through these divine encounters that Father Pio learned the hidden mysteries of the medal and its proper use. Father Pio revealed that the Medal of Saint Benedict operates on three distinct spiritual levels: protection, purification, and transformation. But, and this is crucial, these three levels only activate when the medal is treated with the knowledge and respect it deserves. Most people, even devout Catholics, unknowingly commit errors that neutralize the medal's power, or worse, create spiritual blockages in their lives. The first level, protection, is the most known but least understood. The Medal of Saint Benedict is not a good luck charm or an amulet. It is a spiritual shield that creates an invisible barrier around the person who carries it properly. This protection is not automatic. It requires activation through specific practices that Father Pio taught to his closest followers. The second level, purification, is where the medal's true power begins to manifest. Father Pio explained that the Medal of Saint Benedict has the ability to purify not only the person who carries it, but also their environment. It can cleanse homes of negative influences, break spiritual chains that have been binding families for generations, and neutralize curses or evil influences that may be affecting someone's life. The third level, transformation, is the most profound and powerful. When used correctly, the Medal of Saint Benedict becomes a catalyst for complete spiritual transformation. Father Pio witnessed miraculous healings, radical life changes, and extraordinary blessings in the lives of those who learned to use this medal according to its true purpose. But here comes the warning that changed everything for those who heard it from Father Pio's own lips. The medal works through faith, but faith without knowledge is like a flame without oxygen. It dies. This means that simply having the medal or even believing in its power is not enough. You need to know how to activate it, how to care for it, and how to connect with its spiritual energy correctly. Father Pio often spoke of a silent error that he observed in countless devoted souls, people who had the Medal of Saint Benedict, but were living lives far below their spiritual potential. They prayed, they attended Mass, they followed the commandments, but something was missing. The protection wasn't complete, the blessings weren't flowing, and their spiritual growth seemed stagnant. What was this silent error? It was treating the Medal of Saint Benedict like any other religious object, without understanding its true nature and requirements. Father Pio compared it to having a key to a treasure chest, but not knowing which treasure chest it opens, or worse, using the key incorrectly and damaging the lock forever. This is where today's revelation becomes critical for your spiritual life. In the next part of this message, I will reveal exactly what this silent error is, how you can identify if you are committing it, and most importantly, how you can correct it before it's too late. Because Father Pio was clear, time is not infinite, and opportunities for spiritual growth must be seized when they present themselves. If this message is already stirring something deep in your spirit, if you feel that these words are reaching a part of your soul that has long been thirsty for truth, then prepare yourself. What follows will challenge everything you thought you knew about spiritual protection and open doors to a dimension of faith that very few discover. The Medal of Saint Benedict that you have, that you wear, or that you are thinking of acquiring is much more than you imagine. In the hands of one who knows its secrets, it becomes a key to supernatural protection, divine favor, and spiritual victories that can change not only your life, but the destiny of your entire family. Now I will reveal to you the silent error that Father Pio observed with deep sorrow in thousands of souls, an error so subtle that even the most devout Catholics commit it without realizing it, unknowingly blocking the very protection they desperately seek. Father Pio spent countless hours in prayer and contemplation, observing how different people related to their sacred objects. What he discovered about the Medal of Saint Benedict was both shocking and transformative. He noticed that people who possessed this powerful spiritual weapon often lived as if they were defenseless, while the medal's incredible power lay dormant, waiting to be awakened. The silent error that Father Pio identified is this: treating the Medal of Saint Benedict as a passive object instead of recognizing it as an active spiritual instrument that requires conscious participation and proper activation. Let me explain this more deeply. Most people approach the Medal of Saint Benedict with what Father Pio called dormant faith. Indeed, they believe the medal has power, they may even have had it blessed, but they treat it like a spiritual insurance policy, something that works automatically in the background without requiring any effort or understanding on their part. This is like having a telephone and expecting it to make calls without ever learning how to dial numbers, or owning a car and expecting it to take you places without ever learning to drive. The Medal of Saint Benedict is a spiritual technology, and like any technology, it requires knowledge and proper use to function at its full potential. Father Pio identified several specific manifestations of this silent error, and recognizing them is crucial for your spiritual liberation. The first manifestation is what he called unconscious carrying. This occurs when people wear the Medal of Saint Benedict simply out of habit, without ever connecting consciously with its power. They put it on in the morning like they put on their watch or wedding ring, and they take it off at night without ever acknowledging its presence during the day. Father Pio observed that these people often complained of feeling spiritually empty despite their apparent devotion. They would say things like, "I pray, I go to Mass, I have my blessed medal, but I don't feel protected," or "I feel like my prayers aren't being heard." What they didn't understand is that their medal was like a radio tuned to static. It had the capacity to receive divine transmission, but they had never learned how to tune it to the correct frequency. The second manifestation of this error is location neglect. Father Pio was very specific about this. The Medal of Saint Benedict is extremely sensitive to its environment and the respect shown to it. Many people commit the grave error of treating their medal carelessly, storing it in inappropriate places, mixing it with profane objects, or placing it where it cannot fulfill its protective function. I remember Father Pio telling the story of a woman who came to him desperate because her family was plagued by constant misfortunes, illnesses, and discord. She wore a Medal of Saint Benedict and couldn't understand why she wasn't receiving protection. When Father Pio asked to see her medal, she pulled it from the bottom of her purse, tangled among coins, makeup, keys, and papers. The medal had lost its shine and was covered with debris from her daily life. Father Pio looked at her with infinite compassion and said, "My daughter, you carry the medal like you carry a coin. You have turned a spiritual weapon into a forgotten object. How can Saint Benedict protect you if you show such indifference to the instrument of his protection?" That woman's life changed completely when she learned to treat her medal with the reverence it deserved. The third manifestation is spiritual ignorance, not knowing what the symbols on the medal mean or their spiritual power. The Medal of Saint Benedict is covered with sacred inscriptions, each carrying specific spiritual force. When people ignore these symbols or treat them as mere decoration, they are essentially carrying a sword without knowing it has a blade. The letters CSPB stand for Crux Sancti Patris Benedicti, the cross of the Holy Father Benedict. The letters around the edge, VRS and Sem Visem QLIVB, form a powerful exorcism prayer, Vade retro Satana, nunquam suade mihi vana, sunt mala quaelibus, ipse venena bibus. Begone, Satan, never tempt me with vain things. What you offer is evil. Drink your own poison. When Father Pio explained these meanings to people, their relationship with the medal transformed completely. They began to understand that they weren't just carrying a piece of metal. They were carrying a condensed prayer, a portable exorcism, a spiritual fortress that could be activated through knowledge and faith. The fourth manifestation of the silent error is inconsistent blessing. Father Pio insisted that a Medal of Saint Benedict without proper blessing is like a car without fuel. It has all the necessary components, but lacks the spiritual energy to function. Worse still, many people have medals that were blessed once, but have lost their blessing due to neglect or exposure to spiritually contaminating environments. Father Pio had the mystical ability to see the spiritual state of objects. He often told his followers, "I can see when a medal is alive with blessing and when it is spiritually dead. A dead medal not only doesn't protect, it can become a point of spiritual vulnerability." This revelation shook many people who thought that once a medal was blessed, it remained blessed forever, regardless of how it was treated. Father Pio taught that blessing is like a flame. It needs to be maintained and protected to continue burning brightly. The fifth manifestation is prayer disconnection. The Medal of Saint Benedict is designed to work in conjunction with specific prayers and spiritual practices. When people carry the medal but never pray with it, never invoke Saint Benedict's intercession, and never consciously connect with its spiritual energy, they are essentially trying to use a key without ever inserting it into the lock. Father Pio taught a specific way to pray with the Medal of Saint Benedict that multiplied its protective power exponentially. This wasn't just reciting traditional prayers, it was a conscious communion with Saint Benedict himself, inviting his spiritual presence and protection into one's daily life. The sixth, and perhaps most serious manifestation of the silent error, is spiritual mixing. Father Pio observed with great concern that many people mixed the Medal of Saint Benedict with objects or practices from other spiritual traditions. They would carry the medal along with crystals, amulets from other religions, or engage in spiritual practices that were incompatible with Catholic faith. The Medal of Saint Benedict is jealous, Father Pio would say. It demands exclusive devotion and faith. When you dilute its power by mixing it with foreign spiritual elements, you create confusion in the spiritual realm and block the medal's ability to protect you effectively. Father Pio also identified what he called inherited error, people who received their Medal of Saint Benedict from family members but never learned its proper use. These medals often carried the spiritual energy of previous owners, which could be positive or negative depending on how those people had used them. He told the story of a young man who inherited his grandmother's Medal of Saint Benedict and couldn't understand why his life seemed to be going from bad to worse, despite wearing it constantly. When Father Pio examined the medal spiritually, he discovered that the grandmother had used it more as a superstitious amulet than as a true instrument of faith. Her confused spiritual energy had impregnated the medal, and it needed to be purified and re-blessed before it could function properly for her grandson. Another critical aspect of the silent error is emergency-only faith. Many people only remember their Medal of Saint Benedict when they are facing serious problems. They ignore it during good times and then desperately grab it when crises arise. Father Pio explained that this inconsistent relationship weakens the medal's power and prevents the establishment of a strong spiritual connection. The Medal of Saint Benedict is like a friendship, he would say. If you only remember your friend when you need help, the friendship weakens. But if you maintain constant loving contact, the friendship grows stronger and becomes more powerful in times of need. The consequences of these errors are more serious than most people realize. Father Pio observed that people who commit these mistakes not only fail to receive the medal's protection, but often experience what he called spiritual stagnation. Their prayers seem unanswered, their spiritual growth plateaus, and they become vulnerable to attacks and negative influences that the medal should be blocking. Even worse, Father Pio witnessed cases where improper use of the Medal of Saint Benedict created what he termed spiritual short circuits, blockages in the flow of divine grace that affected not just the individual, but their entire family line. But there is hope, and it comes through understanding and correction. Father Pio never spoke of these errors to condemn, but to educate and liberate. Every error can be corrected, every blocked blessing can be restored, and every dormant medal can be awakened to its full spiritual potential. The key lies in recognizing these errors with honesty and humility, then taking the concrete steps that Father Pio outlined to restore proper relationship with this powerful spiritual instrument. In the next part of this revelation, I will share exactly how Father Pio taught people to correct these errors and awaken the full transformative power of the Medal of Saint Benedict. Now I will reveal to you the sacred method that Father Pio taught to awaken the full spiritual power of the Medal of Saint Benedict. These are not mere suggestions or pious practices. These are precise spiritual instructions that Father Pio received through mystical revelation and tested with thousands of souls throughout his ministry. Father Pio always began his teaching about the proper use of the Medal of Saint Benedict with these words: "My spiritual children, you are about to learn how to transform a simple piece of metal into a gateway between earth and heaven. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility. The Medal of Saint Benedict is not a toy. It is a spiritual weapon that demands respect, knowledge, and unwavering faith." The first step in Father Pio's method is what he called spiritual purification of the medal. Even if your medal has been blessed before, Father Pio insisted that it needed to be spiritually cleansed of any negative energy it might have absorbed due to improper treatment or environmental contamination. Here is the exact process Father Pio taught. First, choose a quiet moment when you will not be interrupted. Hold your Medal of Saint Benedict in your hands and examine it carefully. Notice every detail: the cross, the letters, the figure of Saint Benedict. This is not mere observation. It is establishing conscious contact with the spiritual reality that the medal represents. Next, Father Pio instructed to pray this specific prayer while holding the medal. "Glorious Saint Benedict, patriarch of monks and spiritual warrior against all evil, I come before you with humility and faith. I ask you to purify this medal of any negative energy it may have absorbed. Let it shine again with the light of divine protection. Remove from it any blockage, any contamination, any spiritual obstacle that might prevent your intercession from flowing freely into my life." During this prayer, Father Pio taught to visualize a brilliant white light emanating from the medal, burning away any darkness or negativity. This visualization is not mere imagination. It is participating in the actual spiritual cleansing that takes place when we align our intention with divine power. The second step is conscious blessing renewal. Father Pio explained that while a priest's blessing is essential, the owner of the medal must also participate actively in maintaining that blessing through conscious spiritual connection. He taught this daily practice. Each morning, before putting on your Medal of Saint Benedict, hold it in your hands and say, "Saint Benedict, I consciously invoke your protection for this day. Through this medal, I place myself under your spiritual guardianship. Let your power flow through this sacred instrument to shield me from all evil and draw divine blessings into my life." Father Pio insisted that this was not merely reciting words. It was establishing a daily spiritual covenant with Saint Benedict. He often said, "When you speak to Saint Benedict through his medal with sincere faith, he hears you as clearly as if you were standing beside him in heaven." The third step is what Father Pio called sacred placement protocol. Now, this addresses the critical error of medal location that we discussed earlier. Father Pio was very specific about where and how the Medal of Saint Benedict should be positioned to maximize its protective power. If you wear the medal around your neck, Father Pio taught that it should rest close to your heart, the spiritual center of your being. It should touch your skin when possible, creating a direct connection between the medal's energy and your life force. Never wear it over other jewelry or mixed with secular accessories that might interfere with its spiritual vibration. When you're not wearing the medal, Father Pio provided specific guidelines for its placement. In your home, it should be positioned in a place of honor, ideally on a small altar or sacred space that you've dedicated to prayer. If you don't have a formal altar, even a clean, elevated surface with a holy image can serve this purpose. Father Pio strictly forbade placing the Medal of Saint Benedict in certain locations, never in a drawer mixed with mundane objects, never in the bathroom, never on the floor or in low places, and never in areas where arguments or negative conversations frequently occur. He explained that the medal absorbs the spiritual energy of its environment, and contaminated surroundings weaken its power. The fourth step is daily activation rituals. And Father Pio taught that the Medal of Saint Benedict grows more powerful through consistent conscious use. He developed specific practices to keep the medal spiritually active and connected to its divine source. Morning activation. Upon waking, before getting out of bed, touch your medal and pray. Saint Benedict, as I begin this new day, I place myself under your protection. Guide my steps, guard my words, and let your spiritual strength flow through me. Midday renewal. At noon, or whenever you remember during the day, briefly touch your medal and silently invoke Saint Benedict's name. Father Pio explained that this simple gesture maintains the spiritual connection throughout your daily activities. Evening gratitude. Before sleeping, hold your medal and thank Saint Benedict for his protection during the day. Review the day's events and specifically acknowledge any moments when you felt protected or guided. The fifth step addresses symbol meditation and understanding. Father Pio taught that truly awakening the medal's power requires understanding and connecting with each sacred symbol inscribed upon it. He provided this specific meditation practice. Spend time each week contemplating the symbols on your medal. The cross represents Christ's victory over death and evil. The figure of Saint Benedict reminds you of his spiritual authority and protection. The sacred letters are condensed prayers that work continuously when you understand their meaning. Father Pio taught to trace each symbol with your finger while meditating on its spiritual significance. This physical contact creates what he called tactile prayer, a form of worship that engages both body and spirit in communion with the divine. The sixth step is intercessory prayer partnership. Father Pio revealed that the Medal of Saint Benedict becomes exponentially more powerful when used in conjunction with specific prayers to Saint Benedict himself. He taught this powerful prayer to be recited while holding the medal. Glorious Saint Benedict, you who conquered demons through the power of the cross, I ask for your intercession in my spiritual battles. You who broke chains and shattered obstacles through faith, break any chains that bind me and remove any obstacles that block my path to holiness. You who built strongholds of prayer and created havens of peace, help me build a fortress of faith around my life and my family. Father Pio emphasized that this prayer should be prayed with complete confidence in Saint Benedict's power to intercede. Doubt, he would say, is like static that interferes with spiritual communication. Pray with the certainty that Saint Benedict hears you and has the power to help you. The seventh step involves spiritual warfare application. Father Pio taught that the Medal of Saint Benedict is specifically designed for combat against spiritual enemies, temptation, evil influences, negative attacks, and demonic interference. When facing particular spiritual challenges, Father Pio instructed to hold the medal firmly and declare, "Through the power of Saint Benedict and the authority of Christ's cross, I reject all evil that seeks to harm me. I claim divine protection and declare victory over every spiritual enemy that stands against me." He also taught a specific practice for protecting one's home. Walk through each room of your house while carrying your Medal of Saint Benedict, praying for Saint Benedict's protection over that space. This creates what Father Pio called a spiritual perimeter around your living environment. The eighth step is family and community extension. Father Pio revealed that the Medal of Saint Benedict's protection could be extended to family members and loved ones through intentional prayer and spiritual connection. He taught this family protection prayer. Saint Benedict, through this medal, I invoke your protection not only for myself, but for my entire family. Cover my spouse, my children, my parents, and all those dear to me with your spiritual mantle. Let your protection follow them wherever they go and bring them safely home. For parents, Father Pio recommended a special practice. Before your children leave the house each day, make a small sign of the cross on their forehead while silently invoking Saint Benedict's protection. This creates an invisible shield that accompanies them throughout their day. The 9th step addresses healing and restoration applications. The Idyll. Father Pio taught that the Medal of Saint Benedict has particular power for physical, emotional, and spiritual healing when used with proper faith and understanding. For healing prayer, he instructed to place the medal on the area of concern or hold it close to the heart if the problem is emotional or spiritual. While praying, Saint Benedict, you who experience Christ's healing power in your own life, I ask for your intercession in this healing. Through this medal, let divine healing energy flow into every cell, every emotion, every area of my being that needs restoration. Father Pio cautioned that this should always complement, never replace, proper medical care. God works through doctors and medicine, he would say, but he also works through faith and spiritual intervention. The 10th and final step is periodic renewal and recommitment. Father Pio taught that the relationship with your Medal of Saint Benedict should be renewed regularly to maintain its maximum spiritual potency. He recommended a monthly renewal ceremony. On the first day of each month, hold your medal and pray. Saint Benedict, I renew my commitment to honor this medal and receive your protection. I thank you for all the ways you have guarded and guided me. I ask for continued grace to use this spiritual gift worthily and effectively. Duckers. Father Pio also taught that the medal should be re-blessed annually by a priest, not because the original blessing expires, but because this regular renewal maintains the highest level of spiritual consecration. These 10 steps comprise the complete method that Father Pio developed through years of mystical experience and practical application. He tested these practices with countless souls and witnessed extraordinary transformations in the lives of those who followed them faithfully. But Father Pio always concluded his teaching with this crucial reminder: the medal is powerful, but it is not the source of power. God is. Saint Benedict is mighty, but his might comes from Christ. Always remember that we use these sacred instruments not to replace faith, but to focus and channel faith toward its divine source. In the final part of this revelation, I will share with you the incredible transformations and blessings that Father Pio witnessed in the lives of those who learned to use the Medal of Saint Benedict according to these sacred instructions. Now, I will reveal to you the extraordinary transformations that Father Pio witnessed in the lives of those who learned to use the Medal of Saint Benedict according to his sacred instructions. These are not mere stories or coincidences. These are documented spiritual realities that demonstrate the incredible power available to those who approach this holy medal with proper knowledge and faith. Father Pio kept detailed spiritual observations throughout his ministry, and his writings reveal patterns of blessing and transformation that occurred consistently among those who followed his teachings about the Medal of Saint Benedict. What he discovered will amaze you and inspire you to embrace this powerful spiritual practice with renewed dedication. The first category of transformation that Father Pio documented was spiritual protection and liberation. People who had been struggling with persistent temptations, negative thoughts, or spiritual oppression found dramatic relief when they began using their Medal of Saint Benedict according to his instructions. I remember Father Pio sharing the testimony of a businessman from Milan who had been plagued by overwhelming anger and aggressive thoughts that were destroying his relationships. and threatening his career. Despite his efforts to control himself through willpower and prayer, he continued to experience these destructive impulses. When Father Pio taught him the proper use of the Medal of Saint Benedict, the man reported that within just 2 weeks, his anger began to subside. Within a month, his colleagues and family noticed a complete transformation in his temperament. The medal had created a spiritual barrier that blocked the negative influences feeding his anger. Father Pio explained that this kind of transformation occurs because the Medal of Saint Benedict, when properly activated, creates what he called a zone of spiritual sovereignty around the person. Within this zone, negative spiritual influences cannot penetrate, and the person's authentic, God-given nature can flourish without interference. The second category of transformation involves physical health and healing. While Father Pio always emphasized that the Medal of Saint Benedict should complement, not replace, proper medical care, he documented numerous cases where people experienced significant health improvements after beginning to use their medal correctly. A woman from Naples came to Father Pio suffering from chronic insomnia that had plagued her for years. Doctors could find no physical cause, and sleeping medications provided only temporary relief. Father Pio taught her to place her Medal of Saint Benedict under her pillow while following his specific blessing and prayer protocols. Within a week, she was sleeping peacefully through the night. She later told Father Pio that she not only slept better, but woke up feeling more energetic and optimistic than she had in years. Father Pio's spiritual insight revealed that many physical ailments have spiritual components. Stress, fear, unforgiveness, or spiritual attack can manifest as physical symptoms. The Medal of Saint Benedict, properly used, addresses these spiritual root causes, allowing the body's natural healing mechanisms to function more effectively. The third area of transformation is family harmony and relationship healing. Father Pio observed that when one person in a family began using the Medal of Saint Benedict correctly, the positive effects often extended to the entire household. He told the story of a mother whose teenage son had become rebellious and disrespectful, causing constant turmoil in their home. Traditional disciplinary approaches had failed, and the family was on the verge of breakdown. Father Pio taught the mother to pray for her son while holding her Medal of Saint Benedict, following the family protection protocols he had developed. Gradually, the son's attitude began to change. He became more cooperative, his grades improved, and the arguments that had characterized their household began to diminish. The mother later discovered that her son had started having dreams about a monk who would encourage him to treat his family with respect. Father Pio confirmed that Saint Benedict often works through dreams and subconscious influence to guide people toward better choices. The fourth category involves financial and professional blessings. While the Medal of Saint Benedict is not a tool for material gain, Father Pio observed that people who used it properly often experienced improvements in their work life and financial situation. A struggling shopkeeper from Rome came to Father Pio facing bankruptcy. Despite working long hours and treating customers well, his business continued to decline. Father Pio taught him to place a blessed Medal of Saint Benedict in his shop while following the daily activation rituals. He also instructed the man to pray for Saint Benedict's intercession in providing for his family's needs. Within 3 months, the shopkeeper's business began to turn around. New customers started coming, existing customers became more loyal, and unexpected opportunities for expansion presented themselves. Father Pio explained that Saint Benedict has particular care for those who work honestly and pray faithfully. The medal had created a spiritual atmosphere that attracted divine favor to the man's honest efforts. The fifth area of transformation is spiritual growth and deepened faith. Perhaps the most significant blessing that Father Pio observed was how proper use of the Medal of Saint Benedict accelerated people's spiritual development and strengthened their relationship with God. People reported that prayer became easier and more meaningful. that they felt closer to God throughout their daily activities, and that they developed a stronger sense of spiritual purpose and direction. The medal seemed to clear away spiritual static that had been interfering with their communion with the divine. Father Pio explained that this happens because Saint Benedict was himself a master of spiritual growth and contemplation. Through his medal, he continues to guide souls toward deeper union with God, just as he guided the monks in his monasteries 14 centuries ago. The sixth category involves protection from accidents and dangers. Father Pio documented numerous cases where people wearing properly blessed and activated medals of Saint Benedict were protected from serious harm in dangerous situations. A construction worker fell 3 stories from a building site, but emerged with only minor bruises despite landing on concrete. A family's car was struck by a truck, but all passengers escaped serious injury, even though the vehicle was completely destroyed. A woman walking alone at night was approached by attackers who suddenly seemed confused and walked away without harming her. In each case, the people involved had been faithfully following Father Pio's instructions for using their medal of Saint Benedict. Father Pio taught that this protection occurs because Saint Benedict maintains a special watch over those who honor him properly, intervening in moments of crisis to preserve life and prevent serious harm. The 7th area of blessing is answered prayers and divine intervention. Father Pio observed that people who used their medal of Saint Benedict according to his teachings often experienced more frequent and dramatic answers to their prayers. This happens, Father Pio explained, because the medal creates a direct channel of communication with Saint Benedict, who then intercedes powerfully with God on behalf of the faithful. It's like having a powerful advocate in heaven who presents your needs directly to the throne of God. The 8th category involves peace and emotional healing. Many people who followed Father Pio's teachings about the medal of Saint Benedict reported profound emotional healing, release from anxiety, depression, anger, and other emotional burdens that had been weighing them down for years. Father Pio taught that Saint Benedict has particular compassion for those suffering from emotional pain, having experienced his own periods of spiritual trial and testing. Through his medal, he extends comfort and healing to troubled hearts, gradually replacing turmoil with divine peace. But Father Pio always emphasized that these transformations don't happen overnight or automatically. They require consistent application of his teachings, genuine faith, and patient perseverance. He often said, "The medal of Saint Benedict is like a garden. Plant the seeds through proper use, water them with prayer and faith, and harvest will come in God's perfect timing." Father Pio also warned against certain attitudes that could block these blessings. Pride, impatience, treating the medal as a magical object rather than a spiritual instrument, or failing to maintain the practices he taught could all interfere with the medal's effectiveness. He taught that the proper attitude is one of humble gratitude, thanking God for the gift of Saint Benedict's intercession while consistently following the spiritual practices that keep the medal active and powerful. As we conclude this revelation about the medal of Saint Benedict, I want you to understand that you now possess knowledge that very few people have received. Father Pio shared these teachings only with his most trusted spiritual children, and through this message, you have become part of that select group. The medal of Saint Benedict that you have, or that you will acquire, is not just a piece of religious jewelry. It is a key to spiritual transformation, a shield against evil, a channel for divine blessing, and a connection to one of history's greatest spiritual warriors. But remember Father Pio's final warning: with great spiritual gifts comes great spiritual responsibility. The medal of Saint Benedict will bless those who use it worthily and consistently, but it demands respect, faith, and commitment. Do not take lightly what heaven has offered you. I invite you to begin implementing Father Pio's teachings today. Choose your medal of Saint Benedict. Follow the purification and activation steps he outlined and commit to the daily practices that will keep it spiritually alive and powerful in your life. If this message has touched your heart and awakened your faith, write in the comments, "I commit to honoring the Medal of Saint Benedict." This declaration will strengthen your spiritual resolve and help this message reach other souls who need to hear these life-changing truths. Subscribe to this channel and activate the notification bell, because each week I share more of Father Pio's hidden teachings and revelations that can protect and transform your spiritual life. Share this message with those you love. They may be carrying a Medal of Saint Benedict without knowing how to unleash its full power. May Saint Benedict's protection surround you, may his intercession strengthen you, and may the medal that bears his name become a source of endless blessing in your life. Through Father Pio's teachings, you now hold the key to spiritual victory. Use it wisely, use it faithfully, and watch as heaven itself responds to your transformed faith. Remember always the words of Father Pio. The Medal of Saint Benedict is alive with spiritual power for those who know how to awaken it. Let it be your constant companion, your spiritual weapon, and your bridge to the saints who watch over you from heaven.